Welcome to Cortex Signals, insights on AI from Cortex Reply, hosted by Sanjay Dandeker. Joining him are Matt Hull, Head of Customer Experience, and AI engineer Josh Prout. Together, they share how AI agents are transforming customer experience.
Hello and welcome to Cortex Signals. I'm Sanjay Dandeker and I'm a principal consultant at Cortex Reply. I'm joined today by Matt Hull and Josh Prout, and we're here to talk about how AI agents are transforming customer experience. So thanks for being here, guys.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
80% of AI projects never make it into production. Are you seeing the same in the customer experience space, or are the stats better than that?
No, I think going into an AI project in the customer experience space, you're already going to be starting off really on the front foot. And that's because of all the foundations that have been laid traditionally when we've been dealing with customer interactions. So I can't think of any other space where you would be trying to integrate AI and you have the absolute wealth of data, all of our if you have all of your contact analytics, recordings, transcriptions, what other area of the business has that level of interaction data? And that's all absolutely ripe for the picking when you go in for your integration, as we talked earlier about how important knowledge is, but also bringing in your contact interaction history, you're going to stand a far better chance of success. I think as well, because a lot of these workflows and a lot of the actions that are taken in customer experience, you're going to be able to create far more sort of specialist subject matter agents. So my client that I'm working on at the moment, we've really dug down into the specific areas that they take customers through, and then we've trained agents to be absolute subject matter experts, having the right tools, the right knowledge, and ensuring that we have this multi-agent architecture that can actually help solve those problems.
When it comes to customer experience and using agents or having agents answer calls or respond to customer queries, for example, one of the stats that I read, or one of the articles I read the other day around the measurement of success was very much around the fact that 90% of calls had been handled by AI, which is effectively the way in which to deflect calls to be managed by AI rather than people. Do you guys think that that's the right measure of success in this space in terms of deflecting to AI, or is there some other measures that we should be measuring the success by?
I don't think that's the right measure. Like, a lot of things that we look at is containment ratio. So how well did we contain a customer in an IVR or using an AI agent, for example. But that doesn't determine or understand the success of that journey that customer had, and we should look at that more than the containment ratio. So I want to see a high containment ratio with also a high success and CSAT score from a customer to say they actually enjoyed that experience they had with that AI, as well as the AI resolved their issue. I don't want to resolve their issue and them to be unhappy. I want both.
There was a really interesting sort of point that I came across recently. So if you measure the overall sentiment of a customer towards an organization, the customer that has had an issue, they've had a problem that they've had to get in touch with the organization about, they've had it solved in a really successful way, and they've had a great experience having their issue solved, they will have a more positive sentiment for that organization than a customer that never had an issue in the first place. So am I telling you that you should be causing issues on purpose so then you can solve them in a good way and have that overall sentiment towards your organization improved? Probably not. But it just goes to show how these interactions actually provide so much value. And it's something that we talk about a lot, about turning a contact center from a cost center into a value center and a growth engine. So I think understanding those sort of metrics rather than just high level scalar numbers, all those sort of traditional metrics, we need to be looking beyond that.
And we see it in the market. We see organizations promoting exceptional customer experience as their differentiator in the market. They may be selling a product that's an off-the-shelf product with a similar price. It's not that they're the cheapest anymore. It's come with us because we've got the best customer experience. If you have a problem, we'll handle it amazingly and you'll walk away from that with a great experience, rather than we're the cheapest or we're the fastest or our product's the best. Customer experience can be that leader of their differentiator in the market.
And Josh, you recently attended the CSC Summit in New York. Can you tell us a bit about what that is, why it's important in this space, and what you found out there.
Yeah, it was a fantastic experience. So the Customer Success Collective Customer Support Summit in New York City, it was really aimed at customer experience, customer support leaders that are at all sort of stages of their journey towards implementing AI in their various organizations. The people present, there was representatives from huge corporations, there was directors from Walmart, Microsoft, right down to small to medium enterprises, and then a range of startups as well. The part that I really enjoyed was the incredibly frank discussions about the real nitty-gritty about what makes an AI implementation in customer success possible. So there was not too much hype, not too much focus on what's possible with the technology, because a lot of people are aware now of what we can do with AI. But there was a lot of very frank discussions, and one of the key themes that came up across, no matter the size of the business, no matter their stage of the journey in AI, it's all about the knowledge. It's all about policy, and that's what differentiates you. When we're all using similar tools, there's only a limited number of LLM providers. There's only a limited number of frameworks. It's that core knowledge that's going to differentiate you. And so there was a lot of discussions around how we can enhance knowledge and bring it into agentic interactions. One
of the other key points that we were chatting about earlier was really about contact history as well, of like really an enriching engagement with a full set of contact history. And the current engagement that I'm working on for a large retail bank, and we're building contact history across all their channels. So if you walk into a store and speak to a bank teller, we record that as a contact interaction, and then the next day you call into the contact center or you start a chat interaction with that organization, they're aware that you were in store yesterday and you paid a check-in, for argument's sake. And that really enriches the AI, gives it memory and context of who you are and what your interaction history has been like with a bank. It's so frustrating to ring an organization, get cut off halfway through a conversation, ring back in 5 minutes later, and you start the whole process again, asking the same questions, going through exactly the same thing. We can eradicate all that now, and we can give all that history and all that enrichment to the AI so it can operate on exactly the same knowledge.
One of the other terms I read about the other day was policy drift. Can one of you tell me a little bit about what policy drift is, how it matters, and what we can do with AI to help it actually learn what it needs to as we drift from those?
An analogy that I like to use with policy drift is to take it into the physical world and talk about a concept called desire paths. Have you heard of these? So say you go down to your local park and there's a path that goes at a 90-degree angle, and then you'll see a sort of through the dirt, through the grass, there's a path where people have walked because it's the shortest distance, but it's not the approved path. So what does that mean for policies? So your organization, your support organization, you've got lots of policies about the best way to do things. Here's our approach. But we find when we're reviewing recordings, when we're talking to advisors on the ground, that this tribal knowledge builds where there's a better way, but it's not a documented way to solve some of these customer interactions. So that's what we call policy drift, where actually it's not necessarily a negative. We're finding these more efficient ways that enhance the customer experience, but how do we capture that and then bring those improvements that might not necessarily be documented into an agentic system? And then
using AI to do that. So using the transcriptions that we've got, using the call recordings, using screen recordings, using AI to analyze all that, and then recommend updates to policies, recommend new wordings, recommending new flows for customers. So it's a simpler, more streamlined process rather than a broken process, for argument's sake. And we see that as a continuous learning. Like AI it's not a draw a line in the sand today and that's deploy once, move on. It's a continuous learning stream that will continually take flows, adapt them, and improve them as the journey continues.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely key. Even if you are a business that stays completely static from tomorrow and you never change anything, your contact interactions are still going to change, and you're still going to have an updating system, like you say, self-learning, always self-iterating.
And customers' expectation changes. Like my expectation today of what I think a chatbot or a voice bot could do is one thing, but as technology moves on and the LLMs move on and the back-end systems move on, we're going to be able to do more and more and more. So it's always an evolving world, and we need to keep evolving with it and not just take a line in the sand today.
So most of the time when I call a call center and I've got an AI agent or some sort of robotic voice or some sort of voice on the end that isn't a human, most of the time I spend my time trying to figure out what the right options I need to pick to get to a human at the end of it. And most of that is because most of them are robotic voices still today. How far have we come along? Like, how has that technology evolved? Like, are we at a point where people are ready to be speaking to these AI agents yet?
So I think you can flip that question kind of on its head of like, does it matter that it's a robotic voice? Are we trying to emulate a human voice? And would that give somebody comfort? Or are we chasing resolution with a satisfied customer in the fastest possible time?
And it comes back to the KPIs.
It comes back to KPIs and it comes back to what we're measuring. Also, it comes back to some of the AI new rules that have been released. So in the US, for argument's sake, you must say up front that it's an AI agent. And I think there is nothing wrong with going, hi, I'm a AI mortgage specialist. I can advise you on mortgages and this, that, and the other. Explaining who you are, what your capabilities are, and how to interact with that agent to get the best out of it up front, rather than letting a customer listen to it, react negatively to the fact that it's a robotic voice, and then giving really abrupt one-word answers, trying to get past the AI that's there. If you give the customer the opportunity to change their perception, we find that they do most of the times, and we're able to resolve those problems way faster than speaking to a human, and we're available 24/7 with no queue times. There's all these upsells to why interactions with an AI agent could be so much better.
The messaging that you give the customer on their sort of first interaction with that AI is so important, especially as the technology's been improving. So with sort of previous generation intent-based chatbots or RAG-based chatbots, where they're looking for keywords, like Matt says, the best way to get a solution out of them is to condense the information that you're giving it, almost to the point where the best way to get out of it is to almost speak like a caveman. You're sort of like, update my booking. But as technology has improved, we want to flip that on its head. We want customers to give us more information, not less. These generative AI systems and agentic AI systems, we need customers to really feed in that extra context so that we can help solve their issue.
I don't think that change is going to happen overnight.
No.
It's going to be a element of building trust with organizations and customers to make sure that they feel comfortable with talking to these LLMs and really starting to share and open up, rather than them being this, like you say, caged sort of reactive to the AI.
In general, and maybe coming back to the conversations you had at the summit, when it comes to AI agents taking an action on a request, are people ready to believe that an AI agent has performed an action that it says it's done? So it's the example that you used of updating a booking.
So I think what a lot of leaders have found is that when the agent responds with a sort of just a text-based message and it says, okay, cool, I've updated your booking for you, the trust score that comes back from the customer that action has actually been performed, if that's the only confirmation they get, is incredibly low. So it's about building that richer UI. When we come back with an actual widget-based message almost, but something that really confirms deterministically, shows them the action that the AI has actually taken for them, bringing that sort of richer information back to them really increases the trust score. And it goes to sort of follow-ups as well, contact wrap-ups, how we can confirm that these actions have actually taken place. Really important for building trust.
Yeah, and I think as trust is built with AI and with these voice bots and stuff like that, then we can move to a bit more free-flowing kind of conversations. But at the minute, it is we want to determine, like, read back exactly the actions that we've taken and confirm that they want it. And it can slow down the conversation rather than it just being I've done that for you, thanks. and that you'd hang up with a human for argument's sake, they can take a bit longer. But that's fine. It's an AI doing it. We're not tying up human agents to complete these tasks. What we want to make sure is that trust is getting built and that customers are happy and satisfied with the response they got. And overall, when we take in the overall AHT, so the average handle time for that customer from start of call to end of call through IVR menus and to a human to deal with it, or straight from the call initiating to an AI picking that up, the actual length of the conversation is generally smaller with an AI. It just feels sometimes that it can be a bit slower, and as we build confidence, we'll reduce that, and we'll get more and more customer buy-in from that side.
I think we'll leave it there for part 1. We'll continue the conversation in part 2.
Don't forget to subscribe now to never miss another episode of Cortex Signals.